I'm Nettie Kaye. Welcome back to Thursday Night Live in the studio. And tonight we're going to be painting a really cute little dog by the name of Willow. This is a King Charles Cavalier, if I'm not mistaken. And you are not, Julius. Julius is here in the studio again, and he's somehow every Thursday night he seems to be wanting a lot of attention. Can you hear him? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we're going to do this in oil, and we're going to go as fast as we can. Uh, yes, we are. Okay. And then I'm just going to show you how to do it kind of loose, and we're on a 12 by 16 stretched canvas that's been toned with a little bit of transparent orange. That's a gambling color that I just thinned out with a lot of thinner and wiped down. Okay, so now, I'm going to grab, I've got my palette right here, and on the palette are some kind of peculiar colors. I've got a cobalt teal, a light teal color. My cat's climbing my leg. Oh, great. Okay, the joy of live video. Okay, cobalt teal, I've got a little bit of quinacridone violet, I've got Naples yellow, I've got a gold ochre. Yellow ochre would work as well. A little bit of raw umber here, and some scarlet red for the tongue. And I've got a little bit of black running down the canvas, or running down the palette. Some transparent orange, and I'm going to be using that for above the eye a little bit, and some of the brown parts. And of course some titanium white. And so that's all you need to do a dog portrait. There's not a lot. You could probably get away with doing, lighter brown, darker brown, but when you've got white on the dog, which we've got a lot of white, and guess what? White isn't white. So I'm going to tell you the secret of painting white fur without using just a whole lot of white and wondering why it doesn't look like fur. Do you ever get to that point? Black. We've got black in the ears, and we have white in the fur. Those are the two most challenging colors for most people when they are doing pet portraits. All right, let's see if we can figure this out. I've also got a little bit of my Neo Meggelp, which is the medium that I always use. That's a gambling thing. I don't get paid for that, but it's a gambling product. It is kind of a loose gel that helps the paint go on a little bit smoother, and it gives you longer strokes. Okay, so you can paint a real long stroke without drying out. It's really great. So and then a jar with some odorless thinner. Now make sure it's odorless, you guys, because if it isn't, your family's going to kick you out of the house. Go out running around and complaining to the neighbors. So, and I also have a roll. This is kind of important. A roll of Viva towels, and these are called Signature Cloth. They did make some new ones called, I don't know what they're called, but they're not the same. But make sure when you're getting the Viva towels that they are the Signature Cloth towels and not the new ones, which are just all full of pookies. Okay, that will leave little pieces of lint in your painting. Not fun. Okay, now let's see, what brush am I going to be using? I've got a few brushes here. I've got a couple of, one that's kind of a pointy brush like this. Let's see if you can see that pointy brush. And we've got some fat brushes for fur and that kind of stuff. I don't want to use just a little teeny tiny brush. I want to make sure that I have, I'll use this for just kind of sketching in a little bit to start with. And I'm going to thin it out. I'm going to thin out a little bit of, let's just get some dark raw umber. And I'm going to kind of hang on to my picture here a little bit. I'm going to figure out where the top of the dog's head is, and I'm not going to go any further than that. And then I'm going to just basically figure out how big the ears are, where the little mouth is going to go, that kind of thing. And some basic shapes like this. You guys, probably many of you know that I'm kind of known for my dog portraits, and I haven't been doing a lot lately. I do dogs and cats, but I'm going to start doing some dog portraits from now, which is right now it's September, through the second week in October on my Etsy site. All right, so you can order one. I haven't done them for a while because I've just been focusing on my own, selfish works. Oh boy. And so anyway, so I'm just I'm ready to do some more. And I had a lady order one recently, and I hadn't even checked my site because it's been down for a while. And she ordered something, and it was like 3 weeks before I noticed. That was embarrassing. And it was a cat. Thankfully, she had bought 5 of my paintings already over the many years that I've been doing them, and so she knew I was probably still alive. So anyway, apologies everybody, but I'm going to be paying attention now. So if you go on my Nettie Kaye Studio on Etsy, I'll give you the link in the comments or something. Just look that up. And you be able to kind of pick something out if you want to do it for Christmas or whatever you can. And they're not very expensive. They're pretty inexpensive. It's kind of silly of me to do them, but I enjoy them a lot. So, okay, so now I've got this. Now, what's interesting about this dog, if I'm making some general observations, is it's really wide. It's almost like a Pekingese, right, like this. And then you have this kind of an eyeball thing going out. So it's wide on the top of the head, and it comes down, and we're going to give it kind of a center line like this. I'm going to give it a little center line, and we've got a muzzle and a few things. And I'm just going to kind of fiddle around with it and get it just close. The eyes are also at a slight angle, so when I do that, people or pets or whatever, I want to make sure that I line up the eyes and the nose and basically the mouth. The mouth is kind of funny, but I want to line it up. See how I've got these lines parallel and at an angle. Well, it looks straight to you. Oh well, that's all right. To me, it's at an angle because I'm standing off to the side, but they are slightly at an angle. You want to make sure that they're the same. Okay, so now I'm going to come in, and I want to put in, let's just kind of figure out where, so I've got these things, I'm going to kind of guess where these eyeballs are. Now, here's an easy way for you to do it. You can actually go in and, I'm just going to guess, this looks so silly. You can go in and you can, trace this on by taking your photo, and it has to be the same size as the photo. This is the key. And you can cover the back with graphite. Just put a pencil mark all the way across it. Stick it on your drawing and just trace it on. All right, that's cheating, but it works, and you get it right. So when you're first learning, that's a good way to do it. But for me, I hope I don't need to do that. That's right. Okay. So now the reason I tone this canvas is so that if I put on some white, you can see it, and if I make some dark marks, you can also see it. So, say like, for instance, I'm going to take a little bit of white, and then I'm going to come up here, and hopefully you'll be able to see that, but that will just kind of give me a clue if I'm in the right place. I'm going to come down, so I'm just testing it out. I'm going to make these broad strokes. So my student Terry, this is her dog, Willow. So cute. She has a couple of these King Charles Cavaliers. I think they're all the rage now. So it's kind of weird. I'm just going around. You guys are probably going, oh my gosh, what is she doing? But we'll find out, won't we? So it's got a narrow spot here. It's like a little hourglass. It comes around. Now I think I'm a little more comfortable that I have things in the right position. So now I'm going to come in with a flat brush, this little flat brush. And we're going to get into, again, some dark umber. This is the raw umber. You can use black if you want. But I'm going to come in and I'm going to guess that the nose is right here. And then it kind of comes down like this. This is really cartoony, but it won't be. I hope. And then I'm going to take this dark brown, even though it registers as black, and I'm going to come in like this and just double check everything. Now that makes a little bit more sense. How many of you guys have watched my golden retriever puppy one? That one really was a popular video. It turned out really nice. Now I've got this dark up here. But it's been a while since I've done a dog. I'm just putting a bit of this brown, and it will register as black, but I'm going to be using a little bit of blue or teal into the curls of the ear. Okay, now I'm going to try to figure out right here. Okay, I've got this kind of darker area there. Comes up, around, and then we're going just as fast as we can. Woo-hoo! Should have some fast music on. I bought some unknown CD at the thrift store today for 50 cents thinking, oh, this looks like it might be interesting music. It was like 1990s something new age piano bar. Most boring thing I've heard in a long time. But, you know, you got to try sometimes. Okay. Okay, now I am going to go into a little bit of black because it is very brown at this point. And then now with my black, I can go in and kind of mark the little lines on the nostrils. I'm just patching them in basically. And then I'm going to come down just a little bit and give it that little upside down Y. Okay, so that's how you can think about it. It's an upside down Y, and then it has a little, it's actually more like a W, isn't it? So we have that. Excuse me. And this side is a little bit shorter. So that gives me a little bit more clue. The more I fill in, the more I see. And then, because I did this in kind of a brown color, I can sort of see a little bit where this is going to go. I haven't put the eyes in yet, not really, because you can barely see them and I don't want to lose them. Okay. Let's spin in a little bit more. Now black over here. And a little bit like this. Okay. Again, it's just really, really kind of a funny little combination. I'm going to throw these in here. All right, now we've got a kind of a cartoon thing going on here. And I'm going to take the corner of my brush. Let's see what we've got going here. I'm going to put a little bit of there's a kind of a funny little dark underneath the mouth kind of thing there. A little collar. And that ear comes way down. All right, what a mess. Now I'm going to grab some orange. This is the not cadmium, it's the transparent orange. And I'm going to use this for the negative shape around that muzzle. Like that. And it has a little bit of some of the other colors in the brush, so it's not just straight clean brush. But because it's got other colors in it, it works pretty good. So now I'm going to come up, double check, and I'm going to put in this nice little eyebrow right there. And we'll come on this side and give them another eyebrow like that. I should have asked Terry if this is a girl dog or a boy dog. I'm not really sure. Okay, so it looks like the orange color is kind of like that. Base it in, don't be scared. Oops, it got a little bit dark. I'll rinse that out just a tiny bit. When you have something with a lot of different patterns in it, it's a challenge. We did some, what was it that we were doing? A special thing with a vase with blue and white pattern on it recently, and it was just really a challenge to, you know, if you mess up one of the patterns, it's very hard to go back in without contaminating the entire thing. I'm just adding just a little bit of light to it, and then I'm going to come back in with a little bit more. So, okay, with a little more of the orange. Again, I'll darken that up just a bit. There we go. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to come down. I'm going to take some of my pink with white, and we'll put that in and make a little tongue. Tongues are fun. And then it goes back in a way, so I'm going to take a little bit of the quinacridone violet with the turquoise, and it makes a dark purple. It's just a strange combination. And since I've got a dark line there, it makes a nice shadow color like this. Okay, there we go. There. And now with that dark, with that purple, I'm going to show you how I made that because it's kind of important. Okay, so I have turquoise. Can you see that? Turquoise right here. I'm going to just make it over here. A little bit of quinacridone violet. And it makes this beautiful purple, dark purple. And I can add a little bit of white to it if I want it to have just a little different tonal value, like that. And then I can also add, if I want to warm it up, I can add just a little bit of yellow ochre or Naples yellow, and it kind of makes it into a neutral gray that's a little bit warm. And so I can put that in right about in here. I know that looks a little funny, but we're going to go in underneath the chin now. I want to put in just a little bit more white into that mixture. I still want it darker than the chin, that's the key. Darker than the chin, slightly different. And then I'll put just a little bit of that gray around the muzzle like this. And down into whatever we're going to do in here. It's a weird thing to do. It's not a, you know, it's not a black and white. No, I don't like black and white. I like making grays out of something else. And my favorite is purple and teal with a little bit of gold. I even use that on people's faces. And then this comes in a little bit there. So, isn't this crazy? Yes, it is. All right. Now I'm going to move that up here. It's that kind of gray color. And then when I put white on top of that, it will register a little bit better with a darker color underneath, because it's easier to make something lighter than it is to make it darker. So I start out with the dark color like that, and then I will just keep adding some light to it. Okay, so now let's take that same kind of color, that warm gray, and I'm going to put that kind of right there, and as it kind of comes into the top of the head. I hope you guys stick around to the end so you can see what this looks like and not, oh my gosh, this lady does not have a clue what she's doing. Well, let's just find out. So this little chin is also kind of square. It's really interesting. A little square. Okay, now I'm going to come in with that, a little bit of that light, and I'm just loading my brush up. This little muzzle has to have, see how that registers? It's wonderful. I'm going that way, and then I'm going to affect it the opposite way. I'm going this way, laying it down. What you don't want to be doing is, you know, just filling in. I don't want to hear your brush, okay? That's the main thing. You don't want to hear your brush when you're doing this kind of painting. It's a different process. Call that spoon feeding the painting. Okay, now see how dark this is down here? We're just going to go like this. And with the dark, now it'll show up as light. with when I put the light on there. If it was just a white canvas, you wouldn't be able to see that. So that's why I tone it with a warm color, because the dog is fairly cool. And then I come back in with the darker shade of gray with the teal, purple, and a little bit of Naples yellow. And then it begins to shape. It begins to shape. I'm going to take this now and find that pink that comes along here. I might need to make it a little bit darker because I've got black in there from our drawing. So a little bit of pink there on the mouth, and then underneath like that. It's just kind of a little pink into the fur. This happens with dogs. Sometimes they have black and pink into the jaw, and then we're going to go back in and put a little bit more of that tongue again. I have been known to spend a lot of time on a tongue to where I'll put the taste buds in. I did that in the past. I wonder if I do that still. It's kind of fun to make it really look like it's real. But today we're just going to get it, patched in. Okay. All right, the next thing I want to do, let's see. I'm going to go back into the really dark, I'm going to get back into the dark part of the eye. So first off, I want to go in and say we've got a little area here around the eye. There goes that here. I'm going to pull that out a little bit further. And then I'm going to find where the eye goes, double check it. Put that eye in there. And put another eye right there. Like that. And then let's get this kind of ear. I'm just going to wiggle it on. It needs to have a little more juice to it, so I'm going to just really load it up with some stuff. All right, she's coming out. I think it's a girl, Willow. That sounds a little bit like a girl's name. I'm not sure. Okay, let's see. Put a little bit there. And then there's this collar thing that kind of helps a little bit, just a bit of a collar, not too much. Get this down a little bit here. And let's get this over here. When I don't get the eyes in, people kind of get all freaked out. It's like, it looks too weird, put the eyes in. But we'll get to it here. Don't panic. Don't panic. It's already kind of looking cute. Okay, now I'm going to come out. It's interesting because really, honestly, most of our hair on dogs and people, it's not really black, you guys. It's really a very, very dark. Remember Helen Van Wyck, she used to say, oh, all hair is in the yellow family. And I thought, no, it isn't. But maybe it is. It's really, there's a brown, but it's a really super dark brown that registers as black. And so it's just one of those things. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a ripple like that. There we go. Now I'll go right in and put in this pupil area right there. See, I'm not using a little tiny brush. I'm just using a regular. What is this anyway? It is a number 10 red sable. Ooh, this must be one of my dad's. Okay, that's a nice brush. I better wash that one up at the end. I'm going to get it a little bit darker right here, like that. And we have this area where the, this is the bone that is the eye bone right there on the dog. And I'm going to make that nice and dark. Now it's coming out. Okay, good. Now I want to take in a little bit of the gold ochre. This is what I'm talking about. I'm going to throw some gold ochre, and you can't even see it. I know you can't see it, but you will be able to if you come come over to my house and you'll be able to see it. I think the cameras probably don't pick up all of the nuances that I wish they did. The big camera, I do have the big camera running tonight, so hopefully if this live presentation is not getting picked up like I think it is, we will have another rendering on the big boy cameras. That'll be nice. Okay, now I'm going to come in now. These are chocolate brown eyes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in just a little bit of that corner with just a little bit of the transparent orange. You can use burnt umber a little bit, but again, it won't really show up. This is not really showing up too much, but it will. Watch. Now, I think I will use a pointy brush on this one. Okay. I'm going to come in with a white, and I'm going to come in between the pupil and where the color is. And it's really hard to tell where the color is, but I'm going to make a little sparkle. And even though this may be in a different spot, I'm going to go ahead and put this on the same spot on the eye. Like if it's at 2 o'clock, if this was a clock, I'm going to put it at 2 o'clock over here. Sometimes you see the highlights in different places, and so, but just line them up, because it just bugs you if they're not right. So now I'm going to put a little bit of the white in with the orange, and I'm going to put that in so you can sort of see, oh, there it is. It may not be that light in reality, but I'm putting it in anyway just because I want you to see it. So, okay, I got a little bit there. I'm going to come in with a few bits of hair. Around. It looks like this is a little bit on the gray side right here, so I'm going to grab some teal with white, our little gray mixture, and see if I can find it. Okay. Like that. Okay, now, grab my brush again. I'm going to grab that light teal again for the gray, and I'm going to begin to put in the indication of some hair. I don't have to get a tiny little brush out to do that. I can just come at it like that and take the edge of that and just go wing, 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 and then I'll lighten this up like this. This has got a little bit of a warm brown, so I'm going to take some of the gold ochre and white and do a little wiggling over here. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And it's only really on this side of the ear, so it's not over towards the face because it's a little bit darker right there. On our big camera presentation, I'll put the reference up right into the camera so you'll be able to see it. Okay, then over here I'm going to give it a little bit of those wiggly, cute little hairs too. If I just put white on, what happens? Well, that's not bad. A little bit of white, and it mixes in with the paint. I always say you're not painting until you're painting into paint, which just means you got to have enough paint to move the paint around on the, as you load in more layers of paint, you want to have enough paint on your canvas that you can kind of adjust things a little bit and move it around. I'm going to put her little big paws out. Got huge paws on this thing. Okay, and then the chest really does come down to right about there. We're not going to get the whole body in, it's just kind of, we're just doing this for demonstration. And this part back here is this kind of a grayish color, I think. Yeah, just a little gray. Oh, there looks like there's a little dark hairs off the elbows. That's kind of fun. Okay, now back to our kind of bluish gray. Teal, a little bit of purple, and we'll come down and make sure we get that little chest down just far enough. And then you can see I'll jump around too. If I see that color all of a sudden it needs to, or that tonal value that needs to be somewhere, I'll all of a sudden, you know, start jumping all over the place. And then we've got the arm coming out. Actually, this one, that I'm just realizing it goes kind of like that. It's a little fatter, and it comes around, actually comes together over here somewhere, probably off the canvas, so we're not going to worry too much about that. All right, so now, what else do I need? Oh, I know. There's a little pink right in the nose right here. So I'll put a little pink in there. A little pink in there. Good. And I'm missing that. I've got to really load this up with that orange. Okay. Really orange. I just loaded it up with that orange just to overcome the dark that's underneath it. There, and then I'm going to do it again here. Just keep getting enough on there to where I can see what I'm doing. Put that orange a little bit into this part because it feels like there's an orangish light over here. Okay, does that make sense, everybody? I hope. Yeah. Oh, there's a few little kind of strokes right there that help shape the face a little bit. That's the problem when you have a dark dog. You can't see where the side of that face is. Okay, so I'm going to just exaggerate that a little bit. Kind of warm it up. Yeah, all right. Now, okay, so what if I want to put a little bit of hair up here? You know, what I should do really is put in a full background and then work the hair into the background. That's a really good thing to do when you're doing pets or people. Okay, pets or people. You want to do that. Now I'm going to get some Naples yellow with a little bit of gold ochre, and I'm going to put this lighter color there. Ooh, that worked. And a little bit on that side. That worked. And a little bit more here. Okay. Wasn't that fun? Okay, now let's get into this side over here. It feels like it's kind of our gray, only really light. My white is really sticky tonight for some reason. I don't know what. Need to get some more medium on it. Okay, now to set this ear off, got to see where I put that. Okay, I'm going to put this light white to the elbow, and then we're going to just drag it up. We're not worried again about the arms too much. But they're there, so we might as well paint them. I'm just kind of filling that in. And then I'll take my brush and go like this and create maybe a little bit with the gray. I'm going to create some hairs that go out like this. Like that. Just loose. Nice and loose. And when I ask myself a couple of questions, you guys. I'm going to ask myself, always I'm asking myself, is it warmer, is it cooler, is it lighter, is it darker? And so what I'm asking myself right here is, once I get these little hairs in, there's some hairs that are lighter than the darkest dark, and they start kind of flinging out just like that. And then I'm realizing that underneath that dog is a darker shadow. So I'm going to go in with the red, not the red, the quinacridone violet and the blue. And I think on this one, to not make it look too gray, I'm going to use burnt umber. See if that goes darker. Let's try it. Yeah, see how dark that is? That's nice. So it sets the dog down, right? Sets the dog down. Just like that. And oddly, that's about the color of these weird little hairs that are off on the elbow of the dog. I've never seen that before. These little kind of dark little hairs coming off the elbow. Isn't that something? That little paw there. Okay, so when I'm doing a little shadow like this, everybody, I don't leave it like, you know, with an edge on it. You always got to remember that shadows are soft and they're not a thing. All right, what am I saying? They're not a thing. They are body to them. You know, they're not real things. They are cast by the thing that they're kind of sitting on. The light is going across this dog, and it's casting a shadow, which is not, doesn't have any form, okay? Does that make sense? There's no form to it. Meaning it's just, it's like a reflection. There's just nothing to it. So it kind of goes like that. All right, it's dark. And then I'll pull up, I think I'll pull up just a little bit of our gold yellow. We could mess around with backgrounds for a long time. I don't know if I want to do that tonight, but maybe I should. All right, so I've got this mess over here of stuff. So I'm going to take my bright orange and my white and a little bit of that yellow golden ochre, and I'm going to use it to shape out some of the negative shapes. See, all of a sudden I can shape that ear with the outside stuff. It used to drive my husband crazy. He would say, why don't you paint the background first and then everything in the foreground, so you paint from back to forward. Well, you do that a lot in landscape. But sometimes you don't know what you need until you get the piece down. You don't know what color or what tonal value you're going to need. And also, this gives it a much more painterly feel when you kind of paint into the piece like that. See how, and it might not be your thing. Okay, I get it. This is kind of a right brain. I'm writing a book right now, you guys. It'll probably turn into a booklet. Okay, a little booklet on right brain, left brain. Kind of a little different than drawing on the right side of the brain. That's a really good book. In case any of you have not read that, that's a standard in art school, is drawing on the right side of the brain. But when you kind of get loose like this, it's more about being a you have to cut loose a little bit, and you're painting in kind of random strokes, not like you're painting a wall. You want to paint with a little more interest. See, this is my stroke. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of like that. It's wild. It's wild. It gives the piece energy, hopefully without taking away from the dog. If it starts taking away from the dog, then I smooth it out a little bit, but I don't want to, I don't want it to be just boring, and I don't want it to be too exciting. I want the dog to be the most exciting part. However, okay, so I'm just kind of giving it some interesting stuff. Now, why am I doing that? All right, well, I just said why I did that. I'm doing it to give some interest, but I'm also wanting to give the background some wet paint. Now see, if I want this white to show up a little bit more, I'm going to make what's over that white part a little bit darker. And I can make it like that to where it doesn't look like, like it's, like I did that on purpose. Okay, now I'm carving into the head a little bit. All right, now, the reason I do this is so that I have something to put the hair around the outside of the dog into, okay? So that means I want to be able to kind of fluff some hair out into the background. If I didn't have wet paint in the background, I wouldn't have any way to make it kind of fuzz in there or to soften it up. Well, it looks pretty soft right now. It's a little bit silly, but so here's what I'm doing. I'm going to do it real fast so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now I have wet paint all the way around the dog, right? Okay, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to flatten out my little brush. And I'm going to come in and take my flat, edgy brush, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to move that into the background a little bit. And I'm putting out a few little hairs. This ends up. So I can kind of just toss some little fuzzies out there. That looks pretty good. And then the top of his head, has some hairs that just go this way. So there, see, it goes into there. So it doesn't look like a cookie cutter paper doll dog. It's wet paint into wet paint. Okay. This stuff right here, I'm going to just do a little bit of that. Now I'm going to toss some of that hair from that ear, and we'll kind of just give it a little bit of a soft connection into the background without making it flat. So you don't bump a bunch of tonal values up next to each other. You're overlapping. And so the hair, the dog, should be in front. And so it overlaps into the background. Does that make sense, everybody? I hope so. What's going on with this dog anyway? I think it's like this. Anyway, we're going to fog it out right there because I really can't see too much. Oh, there's a little leg there. Stuff. There's a leg. Maybe I'll do that for you, Terry. I'll get that, I'll spend a little more time and kind of work on this thing. Now, okay, I've got another little thing going on here. Okay, this is, the muzzle is kind of coming around. And then, I got to give this part is the wrong shape. So, I want to have it come down and up. Comes down like that. Up, and then the eye has got this light bluish gray around the edge, and then I'm going to give it a little bit more sparkle like that. Just use the edge of that. This one's going to have a little bit there, and then I've got things like that. I hope my arm's not in the way. And whoops, I'm losing my picture. And then I'm going to take that. I can see this one. Now I'm just going around and taking a look at things and making sure I've got them at relatively the right angle. Of course, when I'm doing this for you guys, for your pets, I spend hours and hours and hours. All right, hours and hours. The last cat that I did took, I don't know, 15 hours. Had to have been at least 15 hours. It was really a long project. And so, they're not quite as crazy as this, but I kind of like this. I kind of like this style. It's fun. All right, now we'll go under here. Make a little shadow part right there. I think I want to make that a little darker as it goes back in. And then I do want to soften this up. Okay. So I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I want to soften up the hairs on the little mouth right here. I want to give an indication of some little tiny hairs, so I'm just going to take that and overlap those hairs, little fuzzes, and then into here as well, so it just kind of looks like fuzzy dog time. Isn't that crazy? It is crazy. I know we're running out of time. I can feel it. Somebody, I need a clock in here. Gotta go to the thrift store and get another one. Putting another little bit of the white over the top there. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. So on the legs, can you guys see the legs? Yeah. Hope so. That's a crazy looking dog. Yeah, it is. Sorry, Willow. Okay. Neaten it up a little bit so it doesn't look like a... Looks as though it is the purebred that it is. Okay, and then we'll go back in, put a little bit more dark right underneath. Oops, I just added white. That wasn't... wanted that a little dark, but I kind of like it. A little white. There we go. Dark there. Dark there. And so I will, now after we turn the camera off, I will go ahead and take a look at this and step back. You always want to step back from your paintings, you guys, a little bit so that you can see where you've gone wrong. This is actually much more flat right here, so I'm going to pull that in just a little bit. There we go. That makes better sense. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to do for tonight. I just needed to get back into my dogs again. And, all right, so anyway, make sure you take a look at some of the other dog videos that I've done if you're interested in doing dogs. And this one kind of covers a lot because it's got the dark thing and the white and the dark. One of my first dog videos was of one called Pumpkin, and it was a white dog. And you know that thing has had over 100 and I think it's like 160,000 views on one video. That's pretty cool. So I'm sure the YouTube algorithm gods have been kind of adding to that and kind of pushing that video along because some of the other ones haven't done as well. But I'm sure you'll help me with this one. Now, don't forget, there's lots and lots of videos on my site, so subscribe and you'll be notified. Hopefully, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that stuff. Share with your friends. We're trying to get the hours of views up right now, up to 4,000 hours of views, and we are now at 2,870, something like that. So we need to really pump it up. So make sure you watch the videos from front to back because there's all sorts of good things that are chock-a-block in every single video, all right? And then we'll be able to eventually, hopefully, get paid. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to get an elevator put into this house. Ooh, that would be so helpful. All right. Well, I'm going to give this a little bit more work. And on a regular video, I'm going to post it on with a big camera afterwards, and we'll edit it out, and I'll show you what this looks like when I finish it up. Okay? All right. Love you guys. Don't forget, October 27th and 28th in Hood River, I will be doing a really big, not a big show, but a little show in Sustain Interiors. It's a really neat shop in Hood River on 1st Street. And here behind me, see this big blue flower back there? That's one of the paintings that's going into the interior design shop called Sustain in Hood River. Check them out. Sustain. Yeah. I think they've got a website and everything. I'll hopefully get that to you here in the next little while. All right, love you guys. See you next time when who knows what we'll be painting. I hope to see you next Thursday night as well at 7 o'clock. All right. Good. Bye-bye for now.